For Christmas. 2026, my son said. This year we're celebrating without you. My wife is against your presence. I just nodded and stopped paying their rent. The next morning they were standing on my doorstep. I'm glad you're here with me. Please like this video and listen to my story till the end, and let me know which city you're listening from. That way I can see how far my story has traveled. For 32 years, I had been a widow. My husband, Thomas, passed away when our son Michael was only 15. I raised Michael alone, working double shifts as a nurse to put him through college. I never remarried. My son was my world, my pride, my reason to keep going through those long, exhausting years. When Michael introduced me to Jennifer 3 years ago, I wanted to love her. I really did. She was beautiful, polished, always perfectly dressed. But there was something in her eyes when she looked at me, something cold, calculating. I ignored it. Michael was happy, and that was all that mattered. Wasn't it? They married within 6 months. Too fast, I thought, but I kept my concerns to myself. What kind of mother interferes in her son's happiness? I helped them with the wedding, contributed $15,000 toward their dream ceremony. Jennifer chose everything, the venue, the flowers, even the guest list. I noticed my own friends were somehow forgotten in the invitations, but I said nothing. After the wedding, the requests began, small at first. Mom, could you help us with the security deposit, just until my bonus comes through? Then, Mom, Jennifer's car broke down. Could you loan us $3,000? The loans became a pattern, a monthly occurrence, and they were never repaid. My son would promise, embarrassed, apologetic, but Jennifer would smile that cold smile and change the subject. 6 months ago, they moved into a luxury apartment they clearly couldn't afford. The rent was $2,800 a month. Within weeks, Michael called. Mom, I'm sorry. My promotion fell through. Could you help us with rent? Just for a couple of months until we get back on our feet. I should have said no, but he was my son, my only child. I agreed to cover their rent temporarily. 2 months became 3, then 4, then 6. I was paying their rent while living in my modest 2-bedroom house, the same house where I'd raised Michael alone, the house I'd almost paid off before retirement. The tipping point came in small moments: Jennifer's new designer handbags, her weekend spa trips with friends, the photos on social media of expensive restaurant dinners while I ate soup and sandwiches to afford their rent. Michael made excuses. Jennifer works hard, Mom. She deserves to treat herself. But who was paying for those treats? Then came Thanksgiving. I spent 2 days preparing Michael's favorite dishes, just like I did every year. They arrived an hour late. Jennifer barely touched the food, complained about the stuffing being too salty, and spent most of dinner on her phone. When I brought out the pumpkin pie I'd made from scratch, Thomas's mother's recipe, Jennifer announced she was too full and they needed to leave early for a party at her friend's house. I watched them drive away in Jennifer's new car, a car I didn't know they'd purchased, and something inside me cracked. How had I allowed this to happen? December arrived cold and bitter. I sent Michael his usual Christmas gift, a check for $500. He sent a text. Thanks, Mom. Not a call, not a visit, a text. Then, on Christmas Eve, my phone rang. Michael's voice was stiff, formal, unlike himself. Mom, about tomorrow's dinner. My heart lifted. Finally, we would celebrate together, like we always had. I'd already bought a small turkey, his favorite cranberry sauce, the ingredients for my special stuffing. We won't be coming this year. The words hit like ice water. What? But Michael, it's Christmas. We always. Jennifer doesn't want you there. His voice dropped to almost a whisper. Actually, we're celebrating at her parents' house this year. She feels you're too judgmental of her. She doesn't feel comfortable around you. I stood in my kitchen, the phone pressed to my ear, unable to speak. Judgmental? I had never said a word against her, despite everything. I'm sorry, Mom, Michael continued, his voice strengthening as if he'd rehearsed this. Jennifer is my wife. I have to put her first. Maybe next year will be different. I looked at my calendar, at the circled date, at my notes about what time to put the turkey in, at the wrapped presents under my small tree, all for them. I understand, I heard myself say. Then I added quietly, I hope you both have a wonderful Christmas. I hung up before he could respond. I stood there in the silence of my kitchen, really seeing my life for the first time in months. The sacrifices, the money, the excuses I'd made for them both. The cold truth settled over me like snow. I had enabled this. I had taught them that I would always give, always yield, always accept whatever scraps of affection they chose to throw my way. But not anymore. That Christmas morning, I woke to silence. No excited voices, no sounds of wrapping paper tearing, no smell of coffee and cinnamon rolls. Just silence. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, doing something I should have done months ago. I calculated. Rent for 6 months, $16,800. The wedding contribution, $15,000. The loans for the car repair, the furniture, the emergency dental work that I later saw was actually a weekend trip to Miami, another $9,000. The monthly groceries I'd bought for them, the gas money, the small gifts Jennifer always desperately needed. At least $3,000 more. $43,800. Nearly $44,000 in less than 3 years. I got out of bed and walked to my desk. I pulled out my bank statements, my checkbook, every receipt I'd saved. The numbers didn't lie. I had drained my savings, money I'd planned to use for health emergencies, for home repairs, for the simple comfort of security in my old age. For what? So my daughter-in-law could carry designer purses while my son told me I wasn't welcome at Christmas? Fear crept in then. What if I needed medical care? What if my roof failed? What if my car died? I was 71 years old, living on a fixed income, and I had allowed them to bleed me dry. The realization made my hands shake. But beneath the fear, something else stirred, something hard and cold and clear. Anger. Not the hot, explosive kind, the quiet, determined kind that changes everything. I made coffee and sat at my kitchen table with a notepad. If I was going to do this, I needed to be smart, calculated. I needed to think like Jennifer thought, like someone who saw relationships as transactions. The thought disgusted me, but it also focused me. First, I needed to understand my legal position. I opened my laptop, the same laptop I'd bought 5 years ago and nursed along because I couldn't afford a new one, and began researching. Tenant rights, landlord obligations, eviction procedures, verbal agreements versus written contracts. The rent payments had all been made through my bank account directly to their landlord. I had every transaction documented, every date, every amount. Good. That was leverage. But there was no written agreement between Michael and me. No promissory note, no repayment plan. Legally, the money I'd given them could be considered gifts. That stung, but I noted it down. I needed to face reality, not fantasy. Next, I pulled up my own finances, my monthly Social Security, $1,800. My small pension from the hospital, $700. Total, $2,500 monthly. My mortgage, $600. Utilities, $250. Insurance, food, medications, property tax, another $800. That left me $850 for everything else. Car maintenance, clothing, emergencies, life. Without their rent payment, I could save. I could rebuild my emergency fund. I could breathe. The decision crystallized. I would stop paying their rent. Immediately. But I wouldn't tell them. Not yet. Let them discover it when their landlord contacted them about the missing January payment. Let them scramble. Let them feel the panic of consequences for the first time in their entitled lives. Was this cruel? Perhaps. But was it crueler than taking an old woman's security and then banishing her from Christmas? I spent the rest of that day making calls. First, to my bank, to stop the automatic payment I'd set up to their landlord. The representative asked if I was sure. Completely sure, I said, my voice steady. Then I called my old friend Margaret, an attorney who'd retired from family law practice. We'd worked together at the hospital 40 years ago. I explained the situation, keeping my voice neutral, factual. "Oh, Linda," she said, her voice full of sympathy. "I've seen this pattern before. Financial elder abuse. It's more common than people think. Elder abuse?" The term shocked me. "But he's my son." "That's usually who does it," Margaret said gently. "Family members who see a parent's love as a resource to exploit. Linda, you need to protect yourself. Document everything. Every payment, every request, every promise they made. If they come after you legally, you need evidence." "Come after me? For what?" "For stopping the money flow. People like this, especially the daughter-in-law you've described. They don't give up easily. They'll try guilt, manipulation, maybe even threats. You need to be prepared." I thanked her and hung up. My hands were shaking again, but not from fear this time, from the weight of what I was doing. I was drawing a line in the sand with my own child. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept imagining Michael's face when he realized what I'd done. Would he understand? Would he be angry? Would he ever forgive me? But then I remembered his voice on Christmas Eve, cold, distant, dutiful. When had I become an obligation to him instead of his mother? The anger returned, steadying me. I had made my decision. Now I would see it through. January 3rd. That was when the call came. I was watering my plants, trying to maintain some normalcy in my routine, when my phone rang. Michael's name flashed on the screen. I let it ring 3 times before answering. I needed to steady my breathing, to prepare myself. "Mom?" His voice was tight. "Did you forget to pay our rent?" "No, Michael, I didn't forget." Silence. Then, "What do you mean?" "The landlord called. He said January's payment never came through." "That's correct. I stopped the automatic payment." "You stopped?" He sounded genuinely confused, as if this was incomprehensible. "Mom, you can't just stop. We have a lease. We need that money." "Michael, you have a lease. You and Jennifer signed it, not me. It's your responsibility, not mine." "But you've been helping us." His voice rose, panic creeping in. "You can't just abandon us like this." Abandon. The word hit me like a slap. I had given them nearly $44,000, and stopping was abandonment? "I'm not abandoning you, sweetheart. I'm simply no longer paying your bills. You're a grown man with a job. It's time you and Jennifer managed your own finances. We can't afford this place without your help. You know that." "Then perhaps you should have chosen an apartment you could afford." Another silence. I could hear Jennifer's voice in the background, sharp and demanding. "What is she saying? Put her on speaker." "Mom," Michael said, his tone shifting to something I recognized from his childhood, wheedling, manipulative. "Is this about Christmas? Because Jennifer didn't mean to hurt you. She was just stressed. We can make it up to you, okay? We'll do New Year's with you instead. This isn't about Christmas, Michael. This is about the fact that I've been supporting you financially while you and your wife live beyond your means. It needs to stop." Jennifer's voice cut through clearly now, loud enough for me to hear. "Are you fucking serious right now? Tell her we have bills. Tell her we need that money." My son didn't tell her to lower her voice, didn't defend me. Instead, he said, "Mom, please, just this month. Give us time to figure something out." "No, Michael. What do you want from us?" Jennifer's voice was closer now, shrieking. "You want us to beg? Fine. Please, Linda, please keep paying our rent like you promised." "I never promised anything, Jennifer, and I suggest you both start looking for a more affordable living situation." I hung up. My hands were shaking violently now. I had done it. I had actually done it. There was no taking it back. The phone rang again immediately, then again, then again. I turned it off. The next day, I drove to Margaret's office. She was semi-retired, but still maintained a small practice for select clients. When I told her about the phone call, she nodded gravely. "They'll escalate," she warned. "Have you documented that call?" "I should have recorded it," I admitted. "Start now. Record every interaction. Save every text, every voicemail. Linda, I want to show you something." She pulled out a legal pad and sketched a timeline. "You've been paying their rent for 6 months. In most states, that could establish an implied contract. They might argue you're legally obligated to continue." My heart sank. "So, I have to keep paying?" "No. But you need to formalize the termination. Send them a certified letter stating that you're discontinuing financial support, effective immediately. Give them 30 days' notice to find alternative arrangements. This protects you legally and shows good faith." That afternoon, Margaret helped me draft the letter. It was cold, legal, nothing like the way I'd normally communicate with my son. But it was necessary. "Dear Michael and Jennifer," it began. "This letter serves as formal notice that I will no longer be providing financial assistance for your rent or other expenses, effective February 1st, 2025. This decision is final. Please make alternative arrangements. Sincerely, Linda Morrison." I mailed it certified, return receipt requested. The point of no return. That evening, I went through my emails, looking for something. I wasn't sure what. And then I found it. An email from 8 months ago from Michael's account, though the writing style was clearly Jennifer's. It detailed a 5-year plan they'd discussed. I would pay their rent until they'd saved enough for a down payment on a house. Then I would co-sign their mortgage, since their credit wasn't quite there yet. Then I would help with the down payment itself, maybe $50,000. $50,000. They had planned this. They had calculated how much they could extract from me, and for how long. I forwarded the email to Margaret with shaking fingers. She called me within the hour. "Linda, this is evidence of intentional financial exploitation. This isn't just a son asking his mother for help. This is premeditated. They targeted you." I sat down heavily. "Jennifer wrote this." "Probably, but Michael's name is on the email account. He knew. He was part of this plan. That truth, that my son had knowingly, calculatedly planned to drain my savings, that was the moment everything changed. Not anger anymore. Not hurt. Something colder. Clarity. "What do I do?" I asked. "You protect yourself," Margaret said firmly, "and you prepare for them to fight back. Because they will." The certified letter was delivered on January 7th. I received the return receipt on January 9th. They had signed for it. Now they knew this was real. The response came faster than I expected. January 10th, 11 a.m. A car pulled into my driveway. I watched through the window as Michael and Jennifer got out. Jennifer's face was a mask of barely controlled rage. Michael looked pale, worried. I didn't open the door immediately. I let them knock, let them wait. When I finally opened it, I kept the chain lock engaged. "We need to talk," Michael said. "We can talk through the door." "Mom, come on, don't be ridiculous." Jennifer's voice was saccharine sweet, but her eyes were ice. "Let us in. We're family. Say what you need to say from there." Jennifer's mask slipped. "You're really going to do this? Cut off your own son? What kind of mother are you?" "The kind who worked 2 jobs to raise him alone," I said calmly. "The kind who paid for his college. The kind who gave him everything she had. And now the kind who's done being used." "Used?" Michael looked genuinely shocked. "Mom, we never used you. We needed help and you offered—" "I offered to help temporarily. 6 months ago, you said, just a couple of months." "I have the text messages, Michael. I have everything documented." Jennifer's eyes narrowed. "You're documenting us? Like we're criminals?" "I'm protecting myself. Something I should have done from the beginning. You know what?" Jennifer stepped closer, her voice dropping to something ugly. "You're a bitter old woman who can't stand that your son has a wife now. You're jealous. This is all because I wouldn't let you control our Christmas. This is because you've taken $44,000 from me in 3 years." The number hung in the air. Michael's face went white. It wasn't that much. I have every receipt, every bank statement. Would you like me to show you the spreadsheet?" Jennifer grabbed Michael's arm. "We don't have to listen to this. Michael, let's go. She's clearly not going to help us." But Michael was staring at me. $44,000? Yes, $44,350 to be exact. "We'll pay you back," he said quickly. "We will, I promise. Just give us time. Keep helping with rent for 6 more months and we'll—" "No," Jennifer exploded. "You selfish bitch! We're going to lose our apartment. Where are we supposed to go?" "That's not my problem, Jennifer." "Not your problem? He's your son. What kind of mother throws her son out on the street?" "I'm not throwing anyone anywhere. You have an apartment. You have a lease. You simply need to pay for it yourselves." "We can't," Jennifer shrieked. "We have bills. We have expenses. Michael's salary isn't enough." "Then get a job, Jennifer, or move somewhere cheaper. Those are your options." "You're going to regret this," Jennifer hissed. "When you're old and sick and dying alone, you're going to remember this moment. When you need us and we're not there, you'll understand what you threw away." "Are you threatening me?" "I'm telling you the truth. You think you're so righteous, so moral. But you're just a lonely old woman who's going to die alone because you were too stubborn to help your own family." The words should have hurt. A month ago, they would have devastated me. But now I just felt tired. "Are we done here?" I asked. Michael tried one more time. "Mom, please, I'm begging you. Just 3 more months. Give us 3 months to save up and find a new place. I gave you 30 days' notice. That's more than generous. We can't find a place and save a deposit in 30 days. Then you should have thought of that before you spent your money on designer handbags and expensive dinners." Jennifer lunged forward, and for a moment I thought she might actually try to hit me through the door. "You've been spying on us?" "No, I have eyes and a Facebook account." "You're insane!" Jennifer spun toward Michael. "Your mother is insane. We need to do something. She can't just abandon us like this." "I can, and I am. Goodbye, Michael. Goodbye, Jennifer." I closed the door. I heard Jennifer screaming on the other side, heard Michael trying to calm her. I heard threats. Vague legal action, complaints to the family, promises that I'd regret this. I heard it all through my closed door, and I stood there, shaking but resolute, until finally they left. When their car pulled away, I collapsed into my chair. My entire body was trembling. I had done it. I had actually stood up to them. But the confrontation had left me drained, frightened, wondering if I'd just destroyed my relationship with my son forever. For the next 3 days, I unplugged my phone. I turned off my computer. I rested. I needed to recover from the adrenaline, the fear, the emotional exhaustion. Margaret checked on me once, brought me soup, told me I'd done the right thing. But had I? That question haunted me through those quiet days of recovery. On January 14th, I turned my phone back on. 47 missed calls. 32 text messages. The voicemails were a progression. Michael's voice, apologetic and pleading. Jennifer's voice, alternating between sweet manipulation and raw hostility. Then, surprisingly, silence for the past 2 days. The final text message was from Michael, sent that morning. "Mom, can we please talk? Just you and me. No Jennifer. Coffee tomorrow at Morrison's Cafe. 10 a.m. Please." I stared at that message for a long time. This was the first time Michael had suggested meeting without Jennifer. Was this genuine, or was it a new strategy? I texted back, "I'll be there." That evening, as I prepared for bed, my doorbell rang. 9 p.m., late for visitors. I checked the peephole and saw a woman I didn't recognize, well-dressed, professional, holding a clipboard. "Can I help you?" I called through the door. "Mrs. Morrison? I'm Carol Henderson from Prestige Property Management. I manage the apartment complex where your son resides. May I speak with you for a moment?" I opened the door but kept the chain on. "What is this about?" "I understand there's been some confusion about the rental payments. Your son indicated you might be willing to discuss a payment plan to help them catch up." My blood went cold. They had sent the landlord to pressure me? "There's no confusion, Ms. Henderson. I was helping them temporarily, and that help has ended. What they do about their rent is between you and them." "I see." Her smile became strained. "Mrs. Morrison, I've been in property management for 15 years. I've seen situations like this before. Family estrangements over money. It's heartbreaking. I'm sure if we all sat down together, we could work something out. Your son seems like a nice young man. It would be terrible to see him evicted. Ms. Henderson, are you here on behalf of my son? I'm here to find a solution that works for everyone." "Then the solution is, my son and his wife pay their own rent. That's what adult tenants do. Good evening." I closed the door. So this was Jennifer's new tactic. Using third parties to guilt me, to pressure me. Clever, but transparent. The next morning, I arrived at Morrison's Cafe 15 minutes early. I chose a table by the window, ordered coffee, and waited. Michael arrived exactly at 10, alone. He looked thinner, exhausted, dark circles under his eyes. "Thank you for coming," he said, sitting down. "Where's Jennifer?" "She doesn't know I'm here. Mom, I need to apologize." I waited. "I didn't realize how much money you'd given us. I mean, I knew you were helping, but I didn't add it all up. $44,000. He shook his head. "That's your entire savings, isn't it?" "Most of it." "God, Mom, I'm so sorry. I never meant—" "Jennifer handles our finances. I just trusted that we were managing okay." "Jennifer handles your finances," I repeated. "Michael, you're 37 years old. You have a master's degree. How can you not know your own financial situation?" I know, it's inexcusable. But Jennifer's good with money, and I work long hours, so it just made sense." "Michael, stop. Listen to yourself. You're making excuses for her. Again." His jaw tightened. "She's my wife. And I'm your mother, the one you excluded from Christmas, the one you've been using as a personal ATM machine. I never meant to use you, but you did. Whether you meant to or not, that's what happened." He was quiet for a long moment. Then, "What if I paid you back?" $100 a month. It would take a while, but Michael, $100 a month would take you 37 years to repay $44,000. The math seemed to hit him for the first time. His face crumpled. I don't know what to do. Jennifer says we should sue you. She says you made a verbal contract and you can't just back out. Let me be very clear. If you or Jennifer pursue legal action against me, I will countersue for every penny I gave you, plus interest, plus legal fees. I have documentation of everything, every payment, every request, every promise to repay that never materialized. Do you understand? You'd sue me? Your own son? You'd sue me? Your own mother? The question hung between us. Finally, he looked down at his coffee. Jennifer's really angry. I don't care about Jennifer's anger, Michael. I care about you. But I will not be manipulated anymore. So what happens now? Now you and Jennifer find your own apartment. You learn to live within your means. You become financially independent adults. That's what happens. And us? You and me? I reached across the table and touched his hand. I love you, Michael. I always will. But I won't be your ATM. If you want a relationship with me, it has to be based on love, not money. Can you understand that? His eyes filled with tears. I do understand. I don't know if Jennifer will. That's something you need to figure out. He left shortly after, looking defeated, but somehow lighter. I sat there finishing my coffee, feeling both sad and relieved. That afternoon, I called my friend Barbara from my nursing days. I told her everything: the money, the confrontation, the fear, the doubt. She listened without judgment. Linda, you did the right thing, but you need support. Come to my book club Thursday. We're all retired nurses. We've all dealt with family drama. You need to be around people who understand. Thursday evening, I sat in Barbara's living room with 6 other women, all around my age. When I shared my story, every single one of them had a similar tale. Adult children who took advantage. Grandchildren used as leverage. Money demanded as proof of love. You're not alone, said Patricia, a tiny woman with white hair. And you're not wrong. Setting boundaries isn't cruel, it's necessary. For the first time in weeks, I felt the weight lift slightly. I had allies. I had support. I wasn't fighting this battle alone. February 1st arrived, the deadline I'd given them. I half expected more phone calls, more confrontations. Instead, I got silence. 3 days of absolute silence. It made me more nervous than the screaming had. On February 4th, a Saturday afternoon, my doorbell rang. I looked through the peephole and saw Michael and Jennifer. But something was different. They were dressed nicely. Michael held flowers. Jennifer was smiling. A soft, apologetic smile I'd never seen on her face before. I opened the door cautiously, chain still engaged. Mom, Michael said gently, we came to apologize. Really apologize. Can we please come in? Just for a few minutes. We brought you flowers. Every instinct screamed this was a trap. But he was my son. I wanted to believe him. Against my better judgment, I unlatched the chain and let them in. Jennifer walked straight to my living room and sat on my couch as if she belonged there. Michael handed me the flowers, grocery store carnations, probably $5. I set them on the table. Mom, sit down, Michael said. Please. We've done a lot of thinking these past few weeks. I sat in my armchair, maintaining distance. Jennifer leaned forward, her hands clasped together. Linda, I owe you an enormous apology. I've been selfish and thoughtless. I didn't realize how much strain we were putting on you. Michael helped me understand. And I feel terrible. The words were right, but her eyes were calculating, watching for my reaction. I see, I said carefully. We found a new apartment, Michael said quickly. Smaller, much more affordable. $1,500 a month. We can manage that ourselves. We move in next week. That's good, Michael. I'm glad you're taking responsibility. We are, Jennifer said, her voice warm. And we want to make things right with you. We can't pay you back $44,000, not right away. But we can start. $25 a month to begin, and we'll increase it when we can. $25 for $44,000. That would take 146 years. We also want to rebuild our relationship, Jennifer continued. I was wrong to exclude you from Christmas. It was cruel. I was stressed about money, and I took it out on you. But I've learned my lesson. I want us to be a real family. She was good. Very good. If I hadn't seen the email, the 5-year extraction plan, I might have believed her. What brought about this change? I asked. We went to counseling, Michael said. A financial counselor and a marriage counselor. They helped us see how we'd been living beyond our means and how we'd been taking advantage of your generosity. Counseling. That's wonderful, Michael. I paused. Which counselors? I'd like to send them a note thanking them. A flicker of confusion crossed Jennifer's face. Oh, it's Dr. Stevens, at the Wellness Center. I made a mental note. I'd bet everything there was no Dr. Stevens. The thing is, Mom, Michael said, we need a little help with the moving costs. The new apartment needs first month, last month, and deposit. That's $4,500. We have $3,000 saved, but we're short $1,500. Could you help us one last time? I promise, this is the last time we'll ever ask. There it was, the real reason for the visit. I gave you 30 days to find a place you could afford, I said quietly. If you can't afford the deposit, then this apartment is still beyond your means. Jennifer's smile became strained. It's just a one-time cost, Linda. After this, we won't need anything. You said that 6 months ago about the first apartment. This is different. Jennifer's voice rose slightly before she caught herself. Sorry. I mean, this is different because we've learned. We've grown. We understand now. No, I said simply. No? Michael looked shocked. Mom, we came here in good faith. We apologized. We showed you we're taking responsibility. And you won't help us with one last thing? Michael, this isn't about one last thing. This is about you learning to solve your own problems without using me as a safety net. Jennifer stood up abruptly. The mask was slipping. You know what? I tried. I really tried to be nice to you, to make peace. But you're impossible. Michael, tell her. Tell me what? Michael looked miserable. We might have to delay the move. We can't come up with $1,500 on our own by next week, so stay in your current apartment and pay your rent. We can't, Jennifer snapped. We're already behind. The landlord is starting eviction proceedings. We need to get out before it's on our record. So they were being evicted. The new apartment wasn't a choice. It was their only option. You lied to me, I said. You said you found a new apartment because you were taking responsibility. The truth is, you're being evicted. We wouldn't be evicted if you'd kept your promise, Jennifer shouted. You said you'd help us. You said you'd pay rent until we got on our feet. I said I'd help temporarily. 6 months is temporary. You turned it into a permanent arrangement. Jennifer's face contorted with rage. You're a selfish, bitter old bitch. You can't stand that Michael chose me over you. This whole thing is just revenge because you're not the most important woman in his life anymore. Jennifer, stop, Michael tried. No, she needs to hear this. You sit here in your pathetic little house judging us, cutting us off, destroying your son's life because your ego can't handle that he grew up. Well, congratulations, Linda. You win. Your son is going to be homeless. His marriage is falling apart. And it's all your fault. I stood up slowly. Get out of my house. Gladly. Jennifer grabbed her purse. Come on, Michael. We don't need her. We'll figure it out ourselves. like we should have from the beginning. Michael stood looking torn. Mom, please. Out. They left, Jennifer slamming the door behind her. I heard her screaming at Michael in the driveway. She doesn't care about you. She doesn't care about us. We're on our own. I sat back down in my chair, my heart pounding. Fear crept through me. What if Michael did end up homeless? What if Jennifer was right and this was all my fault? But then I remembered the email, the 5-year plan, the calculated extraction, and I remembered something else. I had raised Michael to be strong, capable, resourceful. If he was failing now, it wasn't because I'd withdrawn my money. It was because he'd never learned to stand on his own 2 feet while Jennifer was there to lean on me. The fear didn't disappear, but it transformed into something harder, determination. I would not break. I would not give in, not this time. February 15th. I was reading in my living room when Margaret called. Linda, turn on your computer. Check your email, now. Her voice was urgent. I opened my laptop, my hands trembling slightly. There in my inbox was an email from Margaret with the subject line, evidence. She'd forwarded me something from her investigator contact. Screenshots from Jennifer's private Facebook messages, obtained legally through a mutual friend who'd grown concerned. I began reading, and my blood ran cold. Jennifer to her friend Melissa. The old bat finally cut us off. But don't worry, I have a plan. Michael's too weak to fight her, but I'm not. I'm going to make her suffer for this. She'll pay what she owes us one way or another. Melissa, what are you going to do? Jennifer, there are websites, scam alert sites, review sites. I'm going to post everywhere that she's a landlord who illegally evicted her tenant without notice. By the time I'm done, her reputation will be destroyed. There were more. Messages about filing false claims with Adult Protective Services, claiming I was mentally incompetent and needed a guardian. Jennifer, of course. Messages about convincing Michael to sue me for emotional damages and breach of verbal contract. And then, the most damning one, dated just 2 days ago. Jennifer to Melissa. I talked to a lawyer. They said because she paid our rent for 6 months, she might be legally considered our landlord. If that's true, she violated tenant rights by not giving us proper eviction notice. We could sue for wrongful eviction and get a judgment. Then we'd garnish her Social Security. She'd have to pay us whether she wants to or not. I read it 3 times. She was planning to take my Social Security, my only income. She was planning to impoverish me completely. Margaret, I said when I called her back, tell me she can't do this. She can try. But Linda, this gives us ammunition. These messages show malicious intent. They show this was never about family. It was about money from the beginning. We can use this. How? I need you to be strong for what comes next. We're going to confront them, publicly, with evidence. We're going to end this once and for all. 3 days later, Margaret arranged a mediation meeting under the guise of a family settlement conference. I insisted we meet at Margaret's office. Michael and Jennifer arrived looking smug. They thought they were going to bully me into a payment plan with a mediator's help. They weren't expecting Margaret to hand them each a folder the moment they sat down. What's this? Jennifer asked. Open it, Margaret said coolly. I watched Jennifer's face as she read her own Facebook messages, printed and notarized. I watched the color drain from her face. Michael's hands shook as he flipped through the pages. Where did you get these? Jennifer whispered. That's not relevant, Margaret said. What's relevant is that these messages constitute evidence of conspiracy to commit fraud, defamation, and attempted financial exploitation of an elderly person. This is private correspondence. You can't use this. These were obtained legally through a concerned third party. And yes, we absolutely can use them, especially the part where you discuss garnishing Linda's Social Security to impoverish her. That's elder abuse, Jennifer. That's a crime. Michael looked up at me, his face ashen. Mom, I didn't know about any of this. I swear, I didn't know. Shut up, Michael, Jennifer hissed. No, Michael said, his voice breaking. No, I won't shut up. Jennifer, you said we were just going to talk to a lawyer about our options. You didn't say anything about taking her Social Security. You didn't say anything about destroying her reputation. Because you're too weak. You'd have stopped me. Your mother humiliated us, cut us off, left us to be evicted. She gave us $44,000, Michael shouted. She gave us everything, and we bled her dry. How can you not see that? I see that she manipulated you your whole life. She made you dependent on her so you'd always come running back. This was never about helping us, it was about controlling you. I had stayed silent until now, but I couldn't anymore. Jennifer, you wrote a 5-year plan to extract money from me. I saw the email. You calculated how much you could take and for how long. Who exactly was trying to control whom? Jennifer's eyes went wild. She looked trapped, desperate. That email was just an idea. We never actually. You implemented every single stage, the rent payments, the plan to have me co-sign a mortgage. The $50,000 down payment request was coming next, wasn't it? You can't prove that. Margaret slid another document across the table. Actually, she can. Michael's email account has a draft message to Linda dated 2 weeks from now. The subject line is House Opportunity. Would you like me to read it aloud? Michael grabbed the paper. His face went white as he read his own drafted email, clearly written by Jennifer, asking me to co-sign a mortgage and contribute $50,000 toward a house down payment. You wrote this? He asked Jennifer, his voice barely a whisper. Michael, we talked about this. We agreed. We never agreed to ask for $50,000. Are you insane? It's not insane to want a future, to want stability. Your mother has money. Had money, I said loudly, past tense, because I gave it to you, both of you. And instead of gratitude, I got excluded from Christmas and threats to take my Social Security. Jennifer stood up, her chair scraping violently. I won't sit here and be attacked. Come on, Michael. We're leaving. But Michael didn't move. He was staring at the documents, at the evidence of his wife's manipulations, of her plans to destroy me financially. You were going to take her Social Security, he said quietly. She's 71 years old, and you were going to leave her with nothing. She left us with nothing first. She gave us $44,000. The room fell silent. Michael was crying now, tears streaming down his face. What have I done? What have we done? Jennifer's face hardened. Fine. You want to side with her? Side with her. But remember this moment, Michael. When you're living in your mother's house like a child again, when you have no wife, no life of your own, remember that you chose her over us. She walked out. The door slammed, and my son sat there, broken, surrounded by evidence of the woman he'd married, the life he'd built on my financial ruin. I'm so sorry, he whispered. Mom, I'm so sorry. The next 3 weeks were a legal whirlwind, but I moved through them with a clarity I'd never experienced before. Jennifer had made a crucial mistake. She'd put her plans in writing, and those writings became her downfall. Margaret filed a cease and desist order first, prohibiting Jennifer from posting anything about me online or contacting me in any form. Then, when Jennifer violated it within 48 hours, posting a scathing review claiming I was a slum landlord who'd illegally evicted my tenants, Margaret filed for a restraining order. The hearing was scheduled for March 1st. I sat in the courtroom, Margaret beside me, as Jennifer and her attorney argued that I had indeed established a landlord-tenant relationship and violated their rights. But Margaret was ready. She presented the email evidence, the 5-year extraction plan, the Facebook messages about destroying my reputation, the drafted email asking for $50,000, the messages about garnishing my Social Security. The judge, a woman in her 60s, read through everything with an increasingly severe expression. "Mrs. Morrison," the judge said to Jennifer, "you're claiming that Ms. Linda Morrison illegally evicted you from a property you rented from her." "Yes, Your Honor, we had an arrangement." "An arrangement where she voluntarily paid your rent to your actual landlord, a third-party property management company, correct?" Jennifer hesitated. "Well, yes, but so you were never her tenant. She was simply paying your bills as a family member helping you out." "She made a commitment. Did she sign a lease with you? A rental agreement? Any legal document obligating her to pay your rent indefinitely?" "No, but verbal agreements. Mrs. Morrison, I've reviewed these Facebook messages where you discuss making her suffer and destroying her reputation. I've read your plan to file false reports with Adult Protective Services. I've seen your scheme to garnish an elderly woman's Social Security. This isn't a tenancy dispute. This is financial elder abuse and harassment." Jennifer's lawyer tried to intervene. "Your Honor, those messages were private communications taken out of context. The context is crystal clear, Counselor. Your client targeted her husband's elderly mother as a source of income, and when that income stopped, planned an elaborate revenge campaign. I'm granting the restraining order. Mrs. Morrison, you are prohibited from any contact with Linda Morrison. No calls, no texts, no emails, no social media posts. You are to stay at least 500 feet away from her home. Do you understand?" "This is ridiculous. She's the one who—" "Do you understand?" the judge repeated, her voice sharp. "Yes," Jennifer said bitterly. "Furthermore, I'm referring these Facebook messages to the district attorney's office for review of possible criminal charges related to attempted fraud and elder abuse." Court adjourned. Jennifer's face went white. She turned to Michael, who sat in the back row, but he looked away. He'd filed for legal separation 2 weeks earlier. As we left the courthouse, Margaret put her hand on my shoulder. "It's over, Linda. She can't touch you now. But there was one more thing I needed to do." I went to Michael's new apartment that evening, a small studio he'd rented on his own. He opened the door looking exhausted, defeated. "Can I come in?" I asked. He nodded, stepping aside. The apartment was sparse. A mattress on the floor, a folding table, 2 chairs. This was what living within his means actually looked like. "I'm sorry I let it get this far," he said before I could speak. "I'm sorry I didn't see what Jennifer was doing. I'm sorry I let her use you. I'm sorry I wasn't the son you deserved." I sat down in one of the folding chairs. "Michael, I need you to understand something. I didn't do this to punish you. I did this to save myself. And maybe to save you too. Save me from a life of dependency, from a marriage built on financial manipulation, from becoming the kind of man who stands by while his wife plots to impoverish his own mother." He sat down heavily. "I filed for divorce. Jennifer's moving back to her parents' place in Ohio. She's already posting on social media that I'm a mama's boy who chose his mother over his wife. Do you regret it?" He was quiet for a long moment. "No. I regret that I ever let it get this far. But no, I don't regret leaving her. When I saw those messages, when I realized what she was planning to do to you, I didn't recognize the woman I married. Or maybe I never really knew her at all. What will you do now? Learn to budget. Learn to live on what I actually make. Maybe get a roommate. Go to actual therapy, not the fake counseling Jennifer made up for that meeting." He managed a weak smile. "Basically, grow up, at 37. I reached across the table and took his hand. "I'm proud of you for taking this step. It won't be easy. Will you—" He hesitated. "Will you give me another chance? To be your son again? Not for money, just for family?" "Michael, you never stopped being my son. But it has to be different this time." "I know. No more money. I won't ask, I promise." "It's not just that. I need you to make your own decisions. Stand on your own feet. Be someone I can respect again." "I will. I promise I will." As I drove home that night, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Hope. Not for a perfect reconciliation, not for things to go back to how they were, but hope that maybe, finally, Michael would become the man I'd raised him to be. And Jennifer? The district attorney did file charges. Financial exploitation of an elderly person, attempted fraud. She took a plea deal, probation, community service, and an order to pay restitution. $25 a month, ironically, the exact amount she'd offered me. It would take 146 years. 6 months later, I made Sunday dinner with Barbara, Patricia, and friends from book club. We'd started rotating dinners at each other's homes. At 71, I wasn't alone anymore. My phone buzzed. Michael. Still okay for Tuesday? Yes, 6 p.m., bring the salad. We'd been rebuilding carefully. Weekly dinners, Sunday coffee. He had a roommate now, a therapist, a budget. Something different shone in his eyes. Self-respect. How's Michael? Patricia asked. Good, got a raise. He was proud, not to borrow, just to share the news. Jennifer had moved back to Ohio with her parents. Criminal record, difficulty finding work, a bitter blog with 12 followers. Multiple restraining order violations, extended probation. Now working retail, barely surviving. The designer life built on my money was gone. My life blossomed. I fixed the roof, painted walls yellow, volunteered at the hospital. Book club brought theater, watercolor, yoga. I sacrificed everything for them, I said. Skipped meals, doctor visits. I was miserable. And now? Now I treat myself, and I'm happy. A delivery arrived. Orchid from Michael. Mom, thank you for not giving up on me. I smiled. A real gift from a son finally growing up. That evening, I reflected, I'd gained everything. Security, self-respect, friendships, a relationship with my son based on respect, not money. I looked around my cheerful home. Not perfect, but mine. Not lonely, but full. Thriving. Jennifer, posting rants to 12 followers. I had my life, and it was beautiful. So what did I learn from all of this? That love without boundaries isn't love, it's enabling. That family doesn't mean accepting abuse. That financial generosity becomes exploitation when it's expected rather than appreciated. I learned that it's never too late to stand up for yourself. Even at 71, even when you're afraid, even when it means confronting the people you love most. Most importantly, I learned that true love means wanting people to grow, not keeping them dependent. By cutting off the money, I didn't lose my son. I freed him. Now I ask you, what would you have done in my situation? When does helping become hurting? Where do you draw the line with family? If this story resonated with you, please share it. You never know who needs to hear that it's okay to set boundaries, even with the people you love most. Thank you for listening to my story. And remember, your financial security matters. Your peace matters. You matter.